My name is Sherina Long, and I coordinate Code Red, which is our bias awareness and anti-discrimination program. And on campus, that position for me is a 10-hour-a-week position, and I also coordinate our Hispanic Resource Center at El Centro de Muchos Colores. For the purpose of this interview, you're really talking to me more about Code Red.
More or less, yeah.
Sure. Code Red is our bias awareness and anti-discrimination program on campus. So Code Red is an acronym, and it stands for Campus of Difference Educational Network. Red in Spanish is a network, and we are a network of facilitators that that are educated in the tenets of bias awareness and how to be aware of who we are and know that our history does play into how we think. So what we do on campus is we train a group of facilitators each year, and our facilitators then go out to lead workshops where students and faculty and staff are interacting in different kinds of ways. We usually use activities to solicit, to have discussion, and to get things rolling. So generally, if you've attended a Code Red workshop, it would be a way for you to have intercultural dialogue in a safe place. We always create safe places when we lead dialogues and workshops, in which people can share about who they are and how identity impacts the way that we see the world. I don't have a number on discriminatory remarks reported each year. Code Red is not the investigator nor the organization that investigates acts of discrimination. There may be a perception out there because we are a group that is actively fighting against discrimination through education. What we do is, if people come to us and have a complaint, we are the referral for our Office of Judicial Affairs and Equal Opportunity. So basically, I wouldn't know how many reports come to our college for acts of discrimination. People who have grievances file them with Dr. Harry Kim, who is our Dean of Students. She would know the exact number because formal complaints have to be filed and written. On a very informal basis, Code Red has been and is starting to be used a little bit more as kind of a response, immediate response place. So students can come to myself as coordinator and be heard in a way that that I feel is important. Especially if there's an act of discrimination, you need to be heard right away. So I have acted in that role, but it is not our primary focus as an organization. We are an educational network actively trying to talk about issues of discrimination on a day-to-day basis so that when something comes up, people know what to do. And what we always tell them is formal complaints will be filed through our Judicial Affairs Office. We have our continuum and our wheel of Code Red. Our curriculum is basically, we start with identity. Identity is who you are, right? Discovery is an activity. Activities in our discovery category would be, how did you learn to be who you are? Okay, so what about the messages that you received when you were a little kid about strangers, about what you should do when you see a black man and you walk by them? Like I had someone in the workshop say, well, my mom always used to, put me really close to her side when she saw someone who we didn't know. And that's discovery. That's looking at the messages that you might have received as a kid that could impact who you are and how you see the world. We have a really neat activity about if the world were kind of downsized, 6.7 billion people or however many we are, into like 100 people, what would our global village look like? And it's interesting to do that one because it's like, wow, I am kind of privileged in what I have. When I have a computer, I have access to a computer. And then action items are another group of activities that we have. And what the idea is that all of our activities that we lead are going to help students and help folks understand who they are and how they became that way. And then how do we interact with others because of who we are. to really understand what Code Red does is to do it. And one of the easiest things that we do that can help people understand and get to know people in other ways is a game called the Name Game. And it's an identity activity. It's quite simply asking the group to share a story about their first, middle, or last name, or a nickname that they have. It's a very simple activity, but in a group of 17 people in a classroom who've been in a class for 2 weeks, sometimes 2 months together, that one little question can elicit things about someone's personality and who they are and how they self-identify that never would have come out in a day-to-day conversation in class. Does that make sense? So it's an idea of what we do. Is sort of you get to know each other on a little bit deeper level. What we're working on right now is ways for folks to just be identified. We might do like a little sticker so that if someone's gone through a Code Red training, they'd get that on their door. But in terms of coming to meet with general questions, it's me. Of those 60 people who are facilitators, 40 of them are active, which means they still are on my email list, and when I have an event, I would send out an email that says, hey, we need some help, or I have a response team effort, or I need some input on an issue. And then what I do is I would call the Code Red facilitators who are part of a response team that we've created in for me to help have ideas of how to deal with things. So like if there was an incident that came to me and I needed help on what people thought Code Red should do, then I would have the response team come and talk to me about what we should do. This campus is a campus that cares very much about our students, and I'll always put students first. So if there's someone who comes to me in El Centro or in Code Red and has a question or has a story or has something they want to share and are feeling hurt, I would want them to know that I'm always a listener and I'm always here to listen. And I think one of the best things I can always offer is simply to be that person who needs to listen. And one of the things I have done for students in the past is help them share what just happened, or write it down, or somehow process in a different way the experience that is making them feel hurtful. And we talk about that. I could recommend counseling. We could recommend different places and where to go. I could recommend maybe we should file this as an informal complaint with the Equal Opportunities Office, and maybe we should follow through with this. Those are all the kind of steps that we would do as a Code Red, I would do as a Code Red coordinator. Code Red is here to help, especially if there's an act of discrimination that is related to anything that they feel like they have been treated unequal for. Those are things that we would certainly want to make sure that they're heard and listened to. We act a lot more as a referral for folks, to refer them to where they would go. But being here and being able to listen is something that we would do. The reason I really do this work for college-age students is because what better time to introduce the concepts of self-identity and bias awareness, because I think being aware of our own biases is how we're going to end racism in the end. All kinds of isms, not just about race, right?